Welcome back, flat tires. Snake River Fly, Larry here. Another one of our tutorials. This one's a super fun one, man. We've been playing with this new Kilowatt material, I don't know, probably a year now, but we finally got her dialed out and we got a bunch in stock, kind of refined the process and all that kind of stuff, but it's kind of chilled off and it's tying season. So here's a really super fun one. It's basically like our crinkles on clouser or our hollow perch, but utilizing this new Kilowatt material. So I'm gonna walk us through it, show you guys how easy this one is to tie. So I'm gonna start with some of our yellow Kilowatt, and I'm just gonna grab a pinch of this, not even gonna say a size, just a pinch, and I'm gonna put my hands on the top of the bag and I'm just gonna pull this stuff out. That's how you're gonna control, you know, the product, versus pulling everything out of there at once. Or you can cut a little corner slot. We've shown you that on our 0G. But the Kilowatt is our newest in our line of dubbings. You know, if you're familiar, you've been playing with our stuff, you know, we got a bunch of different kind of specialized small batch, if you will, compared to the big dogs, but you know, we got plenty in stock of our latest, the Kilowatt. So what I'm going to do is I've got my hook started here, tying on a pretty stout dude, man. We're bouncing these on the rocks down on the main snake. That's where our perch have been coming back. Ice fishermen finally started catching some again. What, last year, Brandon? But definitely seeing some numbers this year, which is cool. Now, perch population helps our fishery a lot. MFC Sparkle Eye, I believe these are large, gold, green, gold blue, gold red, whatever, is all good. But what we've done is attach those with some 6/0 waxed chartreuse colored simper, and we've just tied it back 1 eye width behind the bend of that. Okay, we're not worried about tying stuff all the way up to the eye of these. You know, it'll finish just shy. But the cool thing is it gives you plenty of room, you know, to get this stuff tied down. And the cool thing about the Kilowatt is that both sides are naturally tapered, just because of the way we package it and process it. So you don't have to tie it in and then cut that end. We can take half the amount of material, we can mustache it right in the middle and tie it in that way. And then you can really anchor it. This is a super tough bug, tougher than our crinkles on clousers, which are bomber, which are essential on the main snake down there for your minnow patterns and whatnot. But this is even better. I mean, I love crinkles on, don't get me wrong. It works similar or almost identical, but the colors that we have in this Kilowatt that we can create in this small batch streamer fur is just way better than just the crinkles on stuff. So what I've done is I've just tied that in the middle, right above where the hook point would be, or the hook point. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take some of our Hydro Hackle. Of course, we have this in 40, 50 colors or so. You know, a good combo on this is the Atomic Cutty for your lighter colored perch, if you will. You know, or I think this is, I don't know, pastel tangerine or something like that. You know, we're just looking for something for that orange belly. For this one, I've already got a piece of the Atomic Cutty cut. So, you know, like 3-4 inches, and I'm just gonna tie it in right where I tied in that Kilowatt and just secure it down. And then I'm gonna secure that Kilowatt material down forward, similar to the original clouser in the process. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of groom the Hydro. Cool thing about the Hydro, if you haven't played or tied with the stuff, is that it has a very small, tight, kind of braided core. So it doesn't take up a lot of space, doesn't soak up a lot of water. And it doesn't even matter how, you know, touching wraps would be great, but you're not gonna really see this. It's all gonna blend in and get lost. What I'm really doing it for is to add that third or that middle section, that middle coloration of most bait fish. So, you know, like I'll call it a perch, a yellow belly, and then, you know, kind of orange in the midriff, and then olive on top. And that's a really good representation of perch in general. You know, if you're doing a brown trout, maybe you would do, you know, a white or off-white on the bottom, and then maybe a yellow, and then a darker, you know, or medium brown or something. But anyway, you get the same by combining the colors of Hydro and changing the colors of the Kilowatt. It's pretty much an endless process. So remember, imagination can take you wild on that one, whatever you want to imitate. So went ahead and tied in that Hydro Hackle just behind the eyes. If I want to make this fly really sparse, I'm just going to tie that there and pull a little underneath, you know, but I'm going to make a little bit fuller bug. So what I'm going to do is this first clump, I'm just going to tie it off right where I finished. Some wraps in there. Right where I finished that Hydro Hackle for the belly. Yeah, and then just kind of prop it up, keep it underneath like so. I mean, talk about the possibility for bonefish flies on this stuff. Once again, I'm just going to take part of our yellow, pinch the bag like so, and then just pull some out like so. And that's the best way to get it random and not pull too much. You can always add more, right? As with anything. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take my next clump. I'm going to kind of size that up towards just shy of that last one, and I'll pinch it on top. Show you guys with my thumb and my index finger, do a little pinch and then pull straight down on it. Or for you master classers, you're going to lighten up a little bit here. You're going to make a soft loop, but you're only going to pull tension going down. Okay, that thread control is key with tying any synthetics or especially natural materials. Is learn how to get stuff torqued in the right direction and secure it well with minimal wraps, and then your flies will just turn out better. They'll sink faster, yada yada. So added that right in front of it, just kind of flare it out a little bit. And I'm working my way through this pretty slow just to show you guys the process. I mean, I've been tying these for the bins, a few of them, and tying them for us to fish, mostly. And we've got it down to like pretty fast, like 3-minute fly. So go ahead and anchor that down like so. You can see I've got that clump tied in the middle right behind the eyes. Pulled it over to cover that gap on our sparkle eyes, and then anchored that down. You can see how much flare and how much wing material we're getting for a very minimal profile on the hook. I mean, that's 5-6 good wraps, you know, torqued down at the right time, and just we're not adding a lot to that shank. Go 1 or 2 right in front, just as it's starting to make it its way around that 60 degree, excuse me. And now what we'll do is we're going to pull that back like so. You get a couple wraps right in front of it. You can see, I mean, even with 2 wraps, I've cinched that down. Not taking up very much space at all. And now, if I want to, I can leave it like that because we're just going to wick it together like so, right? Or if I wanted it to lay a little flatter, I could take a wrap from my side to behind that eye, underneath again, over the top, behind the eye on my side, and come back down to those original wraps. You know, it just kind of props it, makes it a little more streamlined, takes care of some of the wild outliers, which I'm doing with my thread right there. Okay, so there is our belly for that yellow bellied perch. And now I'm going to flip my Renzetti upside down, or right side up, depending on how you look at it. And what I'm doing is I'm just kind of, for my own sanity, I'm just moving those fibers off to the side of the Hydro Hackle and letting myself have a little trail. I've done this before on the crinkles on clousers, or any clouser for that matter, that we're putting that hydro belly in. So we're calling this one the Power Perch, because it's tagged with Kilowatt, of course. So I'll just take my copper peacock. This is a darker color. We've got a half a dozen different greens. And once again, I'll just pinch that and pull it. You got a couple kinks in it, but it'll straighten right out like so. We have lighter colors in this too, but this one really makes a good contrast. We have low light this time of year, so making these perch patterns a little bit more distinctive between the yellow, red, or yellow, orange, and the olive, or even darker backs. Like we'll do some with almost black backs. With that low sun out here in the west, it seems to be like a truer, darker image is better for them. As it starts getting more, days get longer and stuff like that, we'll notice these perch lightening up as well. And then we'll just adjust, you know, to maybe a lighter color olive that we have. Okay, so I've got that inverted, got my thread right in front of the eyes where we just tied off the belly. And now I'm just gonna size out my wing a little bit longer. Come on your side. I'll make it a little bit longer than the whole patch, or than the whole bug back there. Something like that looks pretty good, sizing it out. So then what I'll do is I'll take, just like we're doing deer hair or any other hair, bucktail, and what we'll do is we'll grab it right there and we'll hand it off to this guy, and then that makes sure that we're tying that in at the right length. Old school trick, but still worth talking about. So I've done a couple loose wraps right there. I'll pull it tight when I'm pulling straight down. You can see, so that's 5-6 wraps. Of course, I'm holding on to it, but 5-6 wraps, and we've anchored that pretty good without making a bunch of bulk. And so now I'm just gonna kind of take a peek, make sure I got the length that I'm gonna want here. Like I said, I'm taking my time on this because it's for production, for you guys to see. And so watch this front part as I pull on this wing or top part, and I'll lengthen that out. But with those 3 or 4 loose and then pull tights, the whole thing doesn't pop out. And it's a trick that you can use on a lot of your hairs like that, but now I get the length I'm looking for. You can trim this up a little bit. We'll mess with it when we get done. And so now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take that tag end, if you will, what was left over of the peacock, copper peacock that we put on top, and I'll anchor that in by flipping it over like that, and that also builds me a little bigger head. And so now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna cover that with a little thread till we get, you know, a little bit left, and then we're gonna do a cool little whippy on here. This might slide off the front. This thread, as my thread hits right here, it could easily slide off the front. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put a little drop of our, I think I just have some UV sitting here, thin. Little head cement right there or whatever would be good. But what we'll do is we put just that little bit on there. We know we can, our thread will ride that bump, and we're hoping it'll hold it tight, but it might try to buck off of there. By putting that little bit in there, I don't have to pull as tight, and I can change my angle right here, hopefully. And that gives me just enough stick right there. That little bit of head cement. Whoops, see, that's what I was talking about right there. We don't want that little thread bump to go down and kick us out. Happens a lot, especially tying like bucktail or materials like this. And it's not a big deal, who cares, right? But we do, we care. Take pride in each one of these little buggers, just like a fine brewer. You know, super small batch, right, Brandon?
Super small.
I know Brandon, I mean, he doesn't mind drinking like a bulk beer, like let's say a Miller Lite or something like that, or even a Bushy. You know, we're good in general, that'll supplement. But sometimes you want just a small batch nice beer. That's where Snake River Fly is going to come in and fit in for you guys. Yeah, we have plenty, but we don't have a billion packs of it, and it might not be around in 3 years. So check out the small batch fly shop too. Okay, little plug for Snake River Fly. Now we're just going to put a little UV on there, or a lot. But glue skills usually get better by spring, don't they?
100%.
Yeah, this time of year they're a little rough. Okay. So that's it, pretty much done. But now let's give it a little groomy. Hang on, don't go anywhere. Split that top part equal on the sides of the hook. We'll pull everything back, give it a little twist-a-roni. Put it back in our handy little ranzate. And now what we're going to do is use a very excellent modern tool called the Shape. You don't have to do this, but like I said, we got low light going on out there right now. Don't you think, Brandon? Like,
yeah.
It seems like in low light, your patterns, your flies have to, they can't just be a white sock,
no.
right? Or a, or a olive bugger and get away with imitating what you're trying to imitate. Because boy, it's low, it's clear, and I think that they see, it sure seems like they're picky, huh? Don't you think?
Fish are taking notes, man.
They are taking notes. But there you go. That is, gosh, just so fun and easy to tie, you guys. I mean, we tie them in. These will be all gone by the morning. But, we vary the colors a little bit on them, but for the better part, there's one more for the fish lips. Thanks a bunch. Catch you on the water.